with you for a Backcap, doing a little recap of Stage 2, preview of Stage 3 kind of thing going on. We're going to talk about some stuff, get you ready for Stage 3 coming up. So we're gonna recap some of the first half of the season, talk about teams that were surprisingly good, some of the teams that were surprisingly bad, talk a little bit about players. We had a couple of roster moves by Florida, nothing surprising. They released Apply and Tavik. I mean, I think they're trying to deal him. They're probably trying to deal him for somebody, and everyone's like, well, you're going all Korean, so why are we going to bother? Yeah. Yeah. No, not really. Well, the biggest question for Florida is who the fuck's going to drive the bus now? um, yeah. Well, it doesn't even matter in Los Angeles. You could be three. I have a cousin that lives there, and she's pretty athletic, and she started riding her bike to work because she worked 2 miles away from work, and it took 40 minutes. I'm like, why are you? Well, it took 40 minutes to drive 2 miles. I mean, come on. Yeah. But anyway, so we had that, and that's really the only roster moves that we haven't talked about. I mean, it was nothing. I mean, we were waiting for that shoe to drop, so to speak.
It's really not that much of a surprise. I think the biggest thing is it really just confirms to me that they're going full Korean. I mean, obviously we knew that, they've even said it, but to me it also shows that the fact that no one wanted to pick him up or at least trade for him or try to do any kind of deal shows that basically we're going to see Goats the whole rest of the season.
Oh yeah. But I'm geared up for it. And if we're not seeing Goats, we're going to see some sort of bunker.
Right.
We're not going to get magical DPS comps like we all want. I mean, for the most part. But, it is what it is at this point. And, we're just going to have to deal with it, I guess.
Right.
I mean, someone's going to come up with something at some point. And, if you're watching any of the contenders or any stuff like that, I mean, they're coming up with stuff, but it's not exciting.
Right. The most consistent one that we've been seeing is the Torb May.
Yeah.
And then what are they even running tank-wise with that? Are they running Ryan
Zarya
still?
Yeah,
Ryan Zarya, Torb May. And then I'm sure Lucio still, because if you're running Ryan Zarya, you have to run Lucio.
Right.
And then probably Zen. Anna or Zen.
I think they're running. I mean, Zen, you just don't. There's too much with Zen that you get, and it's not necessarily the healing. It's that damn ultimate, man. It's just.
Oh yeah, his ultimate, and then the damage as well. The damage in the Discord orb, those are huge.
I mean, if you Discord and you have a Torb and a Mei, that's death. Really.
Oh, especially with the way that these guys can right-click with Mei.
That's the frightening thing.
Right?
I've been playing a lot of gun game, and I'm sure you have. It's like you're running around with Mei, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to right-click, and I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to free somebody. There's a glob of people over there, someone will die.
Right, someone will die to this.
You're like, oh, I'll try.
You just find somebody with a Zen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem when you have Zen. You Discord somebody, and you're like, oh, fuck, I lost that kill because I Discorded that fucking dude.
Yep.
That always fucking happens to me. I'm like, oh, I Discorded him. Didn't get him. Nope.
Yeah.
But, I mean, other than that's... Gun game has to be incorporated in some kind of all-star experience or whatever. But
please. Yes.
Okay, so... Alright, talked about the latest roster moves. Let's talk. We're gonna kind of do a quick. I mean, not necessarily stuff you guys don't know. A little quick recap of the first half. So let's talk about. Let's actually dive into the surprising team good and surprising team, well, disappointing teams. I mean, because we all know that we were dominated by goats, and it was San Francisco and Vancouver. So who you got for like your most surprisingly good team? My English is actually horrible today, so
surprisingly good team. Honestly, I like from where we were at the beginning of the season. I think we knew that San Francisco was going to be good, but I don't think we understood just how good they were going to be.
Right, because
like, this team is insane.
Because they had go ahead.
I think the same can be said for Vancouver. Like, I think we all knew that they were going to be good, but I don't think anybody expected them to just dominate the way that they did, and then those two teams being the juggernauts that they are.
Yeah, exactly. And
just running the league.
And for San Francisco, it's kind of like, all right, Vancouver played this meta for a while. I mean, it has evolved to an extent, but San Francisco had the same amount of time as everybody else. They just, I think, and when we were talking about it on the roundtable, they bought in, and everybody else was like, "Fuck, this is gonna go away. They're gonna patch this out or something," and they were kind of just holding. They were working on it, but kind of holding their position with their all their DPS guys, and we're still gonna be able to do what we do normally. But San Francisco bought in, and they're surprising. I mean, because us and pretty much most of the people, other than Monte Cristo, if you think about it, had them like mid-table at
like upper part, like right, but I think most people to start the season had them probably in like the 5 to 9 area.
All right, all right, 5 to 9 in the top 10, but not unbeatable. Other than if Vancouver plays them. Right,
exactly. Like, and I think the same with Vancouver. Like everyone knew that they were going to be a really good team coming in, but I don't think anybody expected them to dominate as much as they did. And then I think the other big, my other big team that kind of surprised me has been the. I don't know. I want to like. There's really not that many other teams. I would say probably Toronto and Atlanta kind of surprised me.
As far as the expansion teams, those two teams surprised me as far as how good they have played. Granted, they're in the middle, but everybody kind of had them in that 15 to 18 range, like above the Mayhem.
Yeah.
Somewhere, above the Mayhem and the Justice, basically, is where everybody kind of had them. And I think that they're both actually kind of right now. I think they're now, depending on what happens with the changes that Toronto has made. I think they're in a position where they're going to be in the playoffs. Where I kind of waffled a little bit whether or not these two teams. I mean, Dufran, when he was there, it was like a whole. You bought in because it's Dufran and he's going to do his magic and fuck around and all that kind of stuff. But I'm kind of looking forward to this stage because, I mean, honestly, guys, we got to start talking map differential and playoff positioning and all that stuff now because we have 14 games left. For these teams. But
it's getting down to the wire,
and
we're halfway through. It's crazy. Like, this is when the games really start to matter.
Yeah, and the maps start to matter and all that stuff. And we're going to get more into that stuff a little bit later. But yeah, those are two of my teams. And honestly, the one team that I thought that has surprised me, and I know it's weird to say, but I think Seoul has surprised me a little bit. I as to how good they are, but not
yes and no for me.
I
on that one.
I buy into more to Seoul than you do because I don't know. There's something about
even though they beat New York, which they did really well, but they just I don't know. I'm actually more with what Iceham is saying in our chat, in that Boston is really
Boston's
honestly
so
they are
weird.
surprised me. Like
They always
they have
do.
consistently played pretty well, even with all the roster changes, everything that team keeps doing, and you're just like, how are they still being relevant, even though this team has like 3 players that they had on their roster last year.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I do have to agree with that too. That they're always in the mix. It's just weird.
Yeah. Stage 2, they weren't great.
They weren't
I'll
great,
admit.
but their schedule was a little rougher.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's with everybody though. Like if you get that schedule where you have New York and you have a couple of the other top 4 teams and you're mid-table, you're not going to make the stage playoffs. It's just the way
Right.
it is. But if you get stuck into a bunch of teams that are, in that, like you're saying, ice, like the 7-7 teams. If you get a schedule, like your schedule kind of lines up with that, where you're playing Toronto and you're playing Atlanta, you got Houston, or all right, Houston's like at the bottom, but like that kind of schedule, you're going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Like some team, like first Atlanta beat New York twice, which nobody thought they were going to do.
No
But
way.
I mean, if you looked at that, like at the beginning of the stage, you're like, all right, that's 2 losses, and they're probably not going to be. I mean,
Right.
they didn't make the stage playoffs anyway. That had to do with roster changes
They
and
didn't,
everything else.
but that's the big thing, is like those 2 wins really give them a chance to make the overall playoffs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like those 2 wins definitely saved them from completely falling out.
Oh, definitely, and they look good in doing it, and they kind of exposed New York a little bit and all that. I mean,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, New York's going to probably be in. But
Yeah.
I mean, it helped Atlanta's cause out a lot for sure, and I mean, Baby Bay actually proved some stuff that we didn't know where he was going to be at, but.
Honestly, that's been really, really
I
surprising.
mean, that was one of the
for me.
biggest surprises in stage 2 was, okay, yeah, Baby Bay is a good player still.
Right.
It's just last year it was, and the players that San Francisco had, it just,
Yeah, like when
They were
you're
just-
when you're picking up the players that they were, like
yeah,
it's a really crowded roster with some incredibly talented players, and he was just kind of the odd man out, and it makes sense.
yeah.
I think
Philly is also surprisingly. I mean, I've had faith in Philly, but
yeah, I still think Philly can make a good run. I'm still hesitant on just how some of this is going to play out, mostly because if it ends up being what it's looking like it's going to be, in that it's just goats from here on out.
Goats and bunker.
Yeah,
Essentially.
goats and bunker. Like, I have a hard time picking any team besides San Francisco and Vancouver in that.
I think a team like, all right, I'm going to throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think a team like Dallas can surprise.
Yeah,
I think they can
see
move
that.
because it's mostly because of Oj, for me.
yeah,
Because I think outside of the top 2 teams, he's probably one of the best tanks that's like not either super or bumper,
yeah.
if not the best outside of that. I think they could surprise, and that all revolves around if you got a good Orisa and this and that and bunker comp. I hate it. I could do without it for the rest of my life, and I would be fine. I fucking hate doing it. Although I've taken to playing Torb.
Honestly, I think if that does become the meta, watch out for the Gladiators.
Oh yeah, the Gladiators, because we're gonna talk about them in a little bit. Because we, I don't know, we'll tease it a little bit now, but we watched. Was that over? It was Overwatch Central, wasn't it?
It was your Overwatch.
Your Overwatch with Fredo.
Yeah.
They did an interview with Deepay, and it went into
If
like.
you guys haven't watched it, like go like.
Watch it.
You should definitely watch it. We're going to talk about it a little bit, or quite a lot, probably actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check it out. It's really, really good. There's some really nice insight that he gives, and it's just
and it's
a really
smart insight. It's not flame insight.
Exactly.
Head's fucking wrapped around a barbell.
But
flame that is anyway.
Some of the teams that disappointed us.
Okay, I'm gonna go with first off, with all the hype, I'm gonna go with the Spark.
Yeah.
Scrim Gods apparently, they started picking it back up though, and
towards the end of stage 2.
Stage 2, yeah.
I mean, they did go 5-2 in stage 2, so like they had a big.
Right.
They stepped it up big, but overall,
they were still shaky though. When they won, it was like not like wow, they looked good. It was okay. They won. I don't know how they did it, but they did it kind of thing. And I just, from what everyone was saying, and you look at the roster now, of course, after watching them play, you're like, why didn't they have Crystal in the first stage?
Right? Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. They're just, they kind of disappointed me in the fact that I was waiting for this hype to like hit. Yeah, they did good last stage, but it was like, okay, where is it? It's like looking for that. You're looking for that present on fucking Christmas. You're like, okay, where's the thing I asked for? You know what I mean? I asked
exactly.
for. You're like looking around and like, what the fuck, man? Where is this? But yeah, they're one, and I kind of want to say London, just because they're choking.
Yeah, like when it really comes down to those important
big moments,
things,
yeah,
like they're just not.
They're like New Yorking.
Yeah, I totally feel you with that.
In the playoffs, I was like, all right, they got this kind of straightened. Let's see where they're going to go. And then they got into a playoff, and I'm like, all right, Prophet's going to do something here. Nope.
Right.
And you're like, what? Yeah, it was just weird. They're kind of disappointing. But
to see them fall apart like that was really disappointing.
But it's what they did last year, and we just don't realize, I guess. You know what I mean? It's like, last year they had that great stage 1. They were decent enough in stage 2. In stage 3, they were sleeping. And stage 4, we just wrote them off. We thought they were just fucking quit. I mean, I remember us talking about them. It was like, well, I guess apparently they don't want to fucking play anymore because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, they're kind of in a weird spot right now, and I thought they would kind of catch up with the meta, and once they put Prophet on Zarya and all that, I mean, he's still got good stats and all that, but it's kind of, like I said, disappointing. You got anyone different?
So I would say, obviously, one team would be the Valiant. Just because, like, you figured, okay, they ended the season really strong last year, so you think, maybe they'll come in and they'll look pretty decent. I mean, they made a lot of changes to their roster, but I mean, they had a horrible stage 1. They started to come back together in stage 3, but now they've traded, or stage 2, but now that they've traded Fate, it just really kind of throws them into a completely...
I think they're doing the next year.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that.
Because, well, I mean, they went 0-7, so you have to pick up so many, and then would they go 3-5? 2-7, 2-5, 3-4, something that they didn't win many games.
They went 3-4, and
right.
So right now they're sitting at 3-11.
Yeah, so
they're pretty far out of it. They'd have to make a really big run to even sniff the playoffs.
They're trying to work towards the future, I think, and they just it was weird, and like the whole start, and like everyone talks about it. It's like, why the fuck wasn't Costa in?
Yeah. Oh God.
I mean,
that whole catastrophe.
Yeah, and Izayaki is a dive meta Zen.
Yes.
He's a fragger. He's getting better with stuff, but Kariv obviously was the better choice to put it in on. And we were talking about that before the season started. We're like, we'll see how Izayaki does.
Right.
Because Kariv is better at the role. Kariv doesn't want to play that role, but he's better at it. Or, I mean, he didn't want to play the DPS role, and he's better at the support role. But it's just, yeah, they're a mess.
They really are.
And,
I mean, yeah, they'll double their win total, but they have 3 wins, like, so they'll be at 6.
Yeah.
So and it's still not going to be enough.
Yeah.
Because I mean, other teams are going to win more too. Like that first stage is really going to bite them, unless they win. Like they have to go. I think they have to win at least 5. 5 is the bare minimum.
Yeah, they have to go 5 and 2 in both. I would say to get into the 12.
Yeah.
And I don't
shot.
I don't even see that being, unless they play the Mayhem fucking 8 times.
Right.
And even now, I don't know if they could beat them. All right, I'm getting too hype on that. Never mind.
Right. But yeah.
I'm getting too hype about.
We're a disappointing team for me. My other team that's been, honestly, there's really not that many other teams that have been like super disappointing. I guess we bought into the hype with Guangzhou to start, and then they fell apart completely in stage 2. Then they started to pick it back up towards the end of stage 2, but like when it got real ugly for them.
What did they have, like a 16, 18 map losing streak?
Yeah, something like that.
That's harsh, man.
It was really rough to watch.
For as good as they looked in parts of stage 1, and that was playing, they didn't have a horribly rough schedule, but it wasn't easy either.
Right.
I mean, they played terrible in the fucking second stage, man. Like,
yeah.
All those guys that were saying they were doing good, like Hotba and Chu and all those guys, like, and then they were having a DPS thing with like Eileen and all that fucking
the one guy who I still think that really played consistently for them has been Shu.
Yeah.
He's really the only guy that has maintained, but like everyone else completely fell off.
Yeah, I know. I thought Hotba in the first stage looked like an MVP candidate.
He really did.
I mean, they had him flipping on to different stuff, and I mean, they just kind of. And they're a team that I'm kind of gonna watch and see where they're gonna go, because they're kind of weird. They're like in that. They're one of the Chinese teams that kind of run the Chinese cheese, I guess, as everyone calls it. But they run predominantly goats, and I think they kind of don't know where to go. It feels like sometimes.
It seems like they just don't have a true direction for it.
Yeah.
Or for where they want to go and how they want to go about things.
Like the Sparks seem to pick their spots and they kind of know where they want to go.
Right.
But the Charge have this all right, we're gonna do goats. Oh wait, or the other way around. We're not gonna do goats. Oh shit, we have to switch to goats. Kind of thing. Exactly. It's like this indecision. Like you either got to go in or you got to go on one or the other. And maybe switch later, but they just don't. There's some things missing with the way they're playing. Yeah, I totally am on board with that. They kind of stage 2 for sure. They kind of fucking dropped off, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, for sure. I was also disappointed with the beginning for the Gladiators. Then they really picked it up in the second stage. The one thing that team really needs to work on is when it really gets down to when it matters, they got to show up, because they choke harder than New York does. Yeah,
everyone talks New York with the choking, including us.
Yeah,
the fucking Gladiators are the Bengals. They can't even win a fucking playoff game.
Exactly.
Somewhere, do they have Andy Dalton on the teams?
Probably somewhere.
DP's actually fucking.
Marvin Lewis.
Marvin Lewis. That's gonna ruin the whole conversation.
Oh no. Right. Oh God. Yeah. So after that's a great lead into the fantastic interview that Deepe had, um, calling him Marvin Lewis. Jesus.
He's not Marvin Lewis. He's way smarter than Marvin Lewis, probably in football as well.
Yeah. Right.
Well, outside of a defensive scheme
Yeah.
in football, I mean, he's one of the best defensive coordinators I've ever seen.
Yeah,
But
he is a fantastic defensive coordinator, and there was a reason they got to where they was based on their defense. But
yeah, and there's a reason why when he was in Baltimore, you couldn't. There was a reason why when he was in Baltimore, he couldn't move the fucking ball. But
yeah,
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
NFC North football or AFC North. Oof, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, buddy.
I didn't mean to do that to you.
That's my division.
Yeah. I saw some dude with like. He had like a fake Stark logo with a dog on it, and it said "Dogs of the North."
I mean, I could see that.
Should have said King of the North on there. Really?
Yeah, there's better ones. I've seen some ones where like they have like Baker superimposed onto Jon Snow.
Yeah, that would imply that he knows nothing.
Yeah, right.
And then he's gonna go run off into Canada somewhere.
Or it's just him like.
He should be Bran. Spoilers. Right? I'm sorry. No, he'd have to be Sansa. God.
Yeah, right. He'd have to be the queen in the north. Oh Jesus! All right, so let's talk this Deepe interview.
Yeah.
So he made some some really good points.
Oh yeah.
Probably one of the more insightful interviews I've heard from anybody in the league, and just showed just how intelligent he is. And how thoughtful he is to like how viewers are looking at things and how we're talking about it. Like he's very conscious of how to present that in ways that people can understand. And I thought he did a really good job with that.
Yeah, and in case you guys don't know, Deepe is a coach of the Gladiators, and I've seen other interviews with him. He's always pretty. He's just so smart with like getting into like the meta, but also figuring out ways to break it, but not, he has the mindset of we have to play the meta, but we can do things to work around it to kind of in our favor. Not all the time, but and that was even last year with Dive. They weren't the best dive team.
No.
But
they weren't. But they did just enough.
Right.
And like the biggest thing that he made a point of was that in some ways there's times and there's a time and a place to do different things.
Oh.
And like when you can capitalize on those moments is when you do that. Like for example, I mean, we know like the Great Bamboozle that they had last year in the playoffs was like no one saw that coming, and that was more a matter of like just kind of messing with them, outsmarting them and maneuvering properly, and then just a bait and switch type of thing,
and knowing what the other team is going to do because you watch enough tape on them to say, let's try this.
Right. And he said that there's a difference between that and going with something that has like some chance of working, but you're also better off because the point that really stuck with me that he said was when you match like when you go 1-for-1 against somebody like goats against goats, then you are then you're setting yourself up to not fail. Like
right.
You have a much lower chance of failing when you do that because you're just setting yourself up to counter them or to at least match up with them. Whereas if you try to throw something else out there, you have a chance of just getting completely rolled and all you learn is that, well, that just didn't work, and now we're just back to square one.
Yeah. Also, like one of the things he said too, and that he's meaning like the higher tier goats teams.
Yeah.
So like when they play, or like say we'll just throw Toronto out for an example. Toronto plays Vancouver, running goats against them. It's kind of what Flame was trying to say,
Right.
but he's a fucking moron and he couldn't explain it right.
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm not. Well, there's our Houston fucking jab for the day. Anyway,
it was about to happen at some point.
Yeah. Well, you get better, and I kind of, we were talking about this earlier. Like Kel's in Platinum, I'm definitely not, and we play quick play together. So I go in with him and I just feed. Generally, of course, sometimes I'm like, the other night I was fucking half bagged, but then I go play in my rank, and I'm like, oh shit, what the fuck? I'm like kicking people's ass because, well, I played a higher rank, in a better rank. I learned a little bit, and you go. It's like swinging a heavy bat, I guess, in baseball.
Yes.
It makes it lighter. It makes it easier when you go to play the other teams. The only thing that I think, like, especially right now, with the mid-table teams, you got to think map differential.
Yeah.
And some of that, if you can sneak a map by cheesing it out, it might put you into the playoffs, or you might lose your shot. That's the only thing right now with me. I'm like, I get that.
Like, I mean, going with those comps and like matching in that way, I think is best for the teams that are right in the thick of things.
Yeah.
But for a team, like when it comes to Houston, like I do disagree with him in the sense of, at this point, Houston's totally out of it. Like they have zero shot of making the playoffs or doing really anything of relevance. So at this point, just why not?
Yeah, just
why not
do
just
something.
try something else?
Yeah.
Because you have a roster with talented players.
But
I'm not gonna say the one thing. They do have talented players on this team,
right?
And they are just not maximizing the talent that they have. Obviously, the meta doesn't help that, but at the same time, there's other things that they can do to maximize what they can do.
Right, and they can do things to take a map here and there. You're not going to beat Vancouver. You're not going to beat New York. You're not going to beat San Francisco. On their case, they probably won't beat down to like Seoul.
Right.
You know, like,
but
in that,
I don't see why they don't be the team that takes the Torb May thing and
the bunker comp thing
in the league, or the bunker comp thing. Like, why not?
Yeah.
At this point, just try it, see if it gets you anything.
Yeah.
And then if it does, all of a sudden, hey, you're the team that figured out the new meta.
Yeah, and you're the team that figured out how to beat this instead of droning in and saying, well, we're going to conform.
Right. Even though we know we're bad at it, and like there's at this point there's like no way to really improve on that.
Right, and for some of those teams in the middle, if you're mediocre at it, I do agree with, all right, you know, improve yourself to beat the teams in your range.
Right.
But I also, I keep saying, because we saw it last year. In fact, Houston was the greatest example of it. They got fucked with map differential at the end of the year.
They did, yeah.
And the Valiant kind of screwed themselves a little bit too. You know, with those 3-1s, those 3-2s that shouldn't have been 3-2s because they fucked up on a map here or there. But the thing is, I mean, Chengdu's the example. Chengdu is the Broncos with Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
They're the exception to the rule where fucking everybody else ran the Wildcat here and there, and it kind of worked, but it didn't. The Broncos did it, and they remember the Broncos were only 8-8, or actually they were 7-9 and got in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm getting at is they could sneak in by like, yeah, they're losing, but if you get into 12 and your map differential is better than 4 other teams that have been running goats, you're in the mix.
Yeah.
Because you ran your wrecking ball fucking comp thing on something and they couldn't handle it.
Exactly.
It's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I think.
But
with that,
he had a lot of other good things too in there.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was, the misconception of, like, one of them was like running cheese to running something different. One of the points he was making was like some of the stuff they did last year. Like when they would like the Great Bamboozle, but like some of the other stuff, I think he didn't really necessarily, but like when they would run things like Shaz on May, and some of that stuff, and the Doomfist stuff, they were doing things to try and win the match, but they knew that they ultimately had to go back to the meta. But trying things different is different than being like going full in like Chengdu.
Yes.
And I don't think he's the only one that seems to be grasping this as a coach.
Yeah, because I think and that's why I think, like, as time goes on with this league, I do think it's going to be guys like Deepay that are going to, and it's something we talked about before, like the importance of coaching, I think just increases more and more as the league gets more established. Because, and I do think that we're eventually going to get to a point where coaches are going to have more access to the team during the games and all of that. I feel like that kind of thing is inevitable. And I'm really interested to see how that goes, because I think that could really add another layer to this game. Yeah, and I would love to see it.
Me too.
And I think a guy like Deepay is going to be the one that kind of leads that.
Yeah,
charge.
And the thing with like last year compared to this year, where we always talk about coaching because we're big regular sports fans. Coaching always matters.
Yes.
I don't care what sport it is. You can say that it doesn't matter in baseball, but it does.
Oh.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like the people that say, well, the fucking guys just do what they do. But it matters a lot. But last year compared to this year, you had, like I keep saying, like, you had the hero play. You relied on someone like Prophet or whatever team it was on. Like, even the Mayhem, they relied on someone like Logix or Tavik to just go, or Saya player, to go and take over a map.
Right.
And win it. But with this, you have to be coordinated, and you have to have someone that's teaching you how to coordinate things the right way. And coaching is so fucking vital right now, and you can tell the teams that have decent coaches.
Right. I wonder if it's going to be more. I do think that like having full access during the game would be a little too much, but I think like maybe something in between each round. I think that's probably about the extent to what we would see, but I think that would still add a lot of layers. It would be basically like between quarters or like in
those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, I would even say if you could name, like, my ideal for this would be if you name a team captain and on their headset they could have communication with the coach.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Sure. I mean, you're not going to be talking to the coach through the whole match because you're shot calling or whatever. But in a break, like after a team fight, all right, you guys, you need to clean up this or that, or you guys need to watch when they're running X. Things like like with a quarterback that has the headset, between plays.
Between plays.
Yeah. They're always in communication, but not like constantly in communication. I think that would help too. But I'll even settle for the between quarters thing. I think that would be, or like between maps. I think that would be great. Just like
between like offense and defense, or like that kind of thing. I think would be huge because they really only get between the full maps.
Yeah.
And even then, I think it's actually
just halftime. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it also would help them focus a little bit more because a coach can, like if you had a bad, like say you got steamrolled, a coach can be like, all right, just settle down, we'll take care of this. This is what we
Right,
did
like
wrong.
settle down.
Let's
This is what they did. This is what we can do to counter it.
yeah.
That type of thing.
Instead of relying solely on the players, you know, you get tilted or you need that extra voice. Sometimes you need that. All right, guys, let's refocus here. And even if you're doing well, like sometimes, like some teams, like they have a steamroll and then they get battered in the next map because they're fucking cocky.
Right.
You know, like, all right, guys, you did well on that one. Let's shut up, focus, get ready for the next map.
Exactly. Like, yeah, and I think that would really add a lot. And I think that would be better than just like having them have full access and then just basically being shot callers. I think that would be too much because then that takes away from the players in the game and all that. But to have that person that's still watching and all that, and be able to talk to you between offense and defense and all of that, or like between sections on like or between maps on like a King of the Hill one, something like that.
Right.
Would be, I think that would be a perfect setup, and I'd really like to see them implement that. And
like in a break, like you would have like in a football game. Like,
yeah, exactly.
When you flip offense, defense, everybody goes to the sideline and talks to the
right,
and then the defense is up. You know that kind of thing. I think that would be fair. The in-game thing is a little crazy on my
that would be a little too much.
But I was just thinking, like, you know, a little bit. Because you can always hear the coach, like, in any sport, they have hand signals and whatever when you're running a play.
Right.
But it's obviously it's totally different because you have to actually be watching the fucking monitor.
Right.
And that kind of stuff. But I just thought, you know, they definitely need the extra little bit of voice in there. And
for sure.
And what it would do is show us who's a good coach and who's just a fucking guy sitting on a chair.
Yeah. So one other thing we wanted to touch on is there's been a couple of new people that have left Blizzard Esports, namely, oh no, wait, why am I blanking on her name right now? It was one of the main people when it comes to the esports section.
Let me try and look that up.
I'm trying to find her too. Here it is. Okay. So Kim Fan is leaving Blizzard Esports after being there for 13 years.
So she was like an original, like OG StarCraft person, probably. I'm assuming.
So a lot like this is all coming from Richard Lewis of Dexerto, who definitely has some bias, but he's also he's kind of a controversial provider of leaks, I guess, because like he has some really biased opinions, but usually the things that he says are pretty spot on. But basically, in his article, he says that there's a lot of discourse between how people are viewing Pete Vlastelica, who is the guy that
he's replacing Nanzer, right?
Is he the one that's going to replace Nanzer?
He was the guy from Activision, I think.
No, he's the guy that he's the president and CEO of Activision Blizzard Esports currently, and he joined the company in 2016 from Fox Sports.
Yes.
So at Fox, he oversaw their digital output and content creation. So there's a lot of people who are who are upset by how he's running things because he's trying to
shoehorn it into regular sports.
Exactly.
But it doesn't work that way. They try. Now, I'm a NASCAR fan. They tried to do that with NASCAR. Regular dude doesn't like NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
And esports is kind of in that same realm of you're a niche sport and you got to kind of just embrace what you are. You can't try and shoehorn it into stick and ball sports like football or basketball or baseball or anything like that. Because those guys, first off, those guys are all the guys that are fucking losing their minds when it's on ABC.
Right.
Because they can't watch Tiger Woods in his fucking plaid pants hitting a
Or
ball with a stick.
whatever generic Saturday afternoon would, like, what else would there be on a Saturday afternoon on ABC? Like a rerun of Family Feud, or like,
well, lest we forget, I mean, I'm old enough to remember Wide World of Sports was on Saturday, and they had shit on like esports.
right?
They had like guys jumping over barrels on ice skates. They had fucking people playing chess. They had shit you didn't watch because there was nothing else to show.
Right.
So they introduced you to something new. No one lost their minds then.
Nope.
That's how I fell in love with Evel Knievel. I mean,
they probably did, but they just didn't have Twitter to go out and show their.
They had to write a stern letter to the fucking the newspaper.
Yeah, the newspaper. Like, dear editor, I don't like the way this is going. Dear Abby, how do I get this off of? How do I get the Wide World of Sports off of ABC on Saturday afternoon?
Change the channel.
Exactly.
Hey, there's an option. If you need to watch sports, I mean, fuck, ESPN's got 9 channels. You can watch a college basketball game from like 2003 if you want.
Right.
You want to watch UConn versus Villanova from 1998.
Right.
So, what do you worry? I don't understand why people are. Oh my god, it's the downfall of America.
But going back to this,
anyway,
like,
we got on a weird tangent there.
It's kind of a. It is concerning seeing all these people leaving. Nanzer was definitely like, it was kind of a, but you might be like, it might just be a matter of like, oh well, he was like a big picture guy.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing in somebody, and he wants to go do that somewhere else. And now you're bringing in the long-term, slow growth person.
Right, but
and which is very, very much what a lot of like big companies do. They'll bring in a guy, get everything set up the way that they want it to, and then they have somebody else come in, and then they bring in somebody to maintain. And like that's kind of what it looked like, but now you've got more people leaving, especially some established people, and that's really concerning.
Yeah, it's concerning to me too, because I think some of it, and I've been saying this, I think there was some conflict with the meta thing, and dude's a Fox Sports. He's a ratings guy, right? And when you get a fucking rating like on ABC for kids playing video games, in quotes for me, because it doesn't bother me, but you get a rating like what they have 500,000 watching the finals. I mean, granted, it was mostly people like us that are into it, but when they see that, there's a fear to change. There's if we change the meta, these people aren't going to understand what's going on. They kind of know what's going on. That's why they're watching us. What they don't understand is, like, I have Twitch on I got to get my OWL tokens on my phone, and I'm watching it on my TV. I'm the same guy that's, the dude turning in Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon. He doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, he's going to get into something when the meta's stagnant, but they're not going to understand what happens anyway if they're new to it, is what I'm trying to get at. So if you say, okay, so the meta's switched, and these guys explain everything, but they don't give their crew and their casters and their talent enough credit at explaining about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
Because if you watch on ABC, all of the announcers do such a good job of explaining this fucked up meta to people that don't know what's going on.
They really do. And like that, I think the meta is part of it. I think it's kind of why like they wanted to make changes, but like it's really kind of not happening. It kind of explains some things that have been going on, and then also I think Sam makes another good point that like it does like make you think like, okay, you're looking at next year in that. How are you going to keep all of this when you have a game in Chengdu, China? Like, how are you going to get viewers for that?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're always going to have Twitch viewers,
Right.
but they're looking at big picture.
Right.
They're not looking at video game people. They're looking at, like, I've been railing on them, but Saturday afternoon watch ABC Sports dude.
Yeah.
And Games
Because they
in
eventually
Chengdu.
want to be able to bring that person in.
Right, and I know, and there was the UEFA Championships just happened, and everybody that's into soccer was watching it. I mean, what time did that start here? 5 a.m.
Yeah, I think so.
4 a.m.
I think the championship game was at
or 8. It might have been like 8.
it was like 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yeah. So, I mean, so then you have London and Paris that are playing 8 and 9 in the morning, and then when you have Chengdu, Seoul, and all the Chinese teams playing at midnight or later.
Right. Either that or
Yeah.
yeah, and so yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
And
But,
I also think there's also a money grab going on too, where they're seeing how this is going, and Nanzer's smart, and he's like, we can't expand, we have to fix what's going on, but they're seeing 60 million, 60 million, 60 million, all these people on all these different areas, like people in Chicago and people in different areas going, hey, we want a team. Why isn't there a team in Denmark? Why isn't there a team in Berlin or this or that? They're seeing that, and I think they were like, we can't do that. We have to take baby steps, and I think they want to expand more too fast.
Yeah.
Some of the people, and I think it's causing a little bit of discord too, because, like I said, Fox Sports guy ratings. That's where the money is. You got Coke, you got Budweiser, you got whatever, Kit Kat and Legos and fucking Nerf guns and all this other shit. Oh, and by the way, Rank's still fucked up, but that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in there. Let's worry about Nerf guns and fucking statues and not actually playing the game. But
yeah, no kidding.
But what I'm saying is so they're seeing it as they're making money. It's a business. And I think some of them want to expand more and keep going. Like, we can add another 4 or 5 teams. But some of the guys that have been doing this from the start are like, we have to go live in the areas. We can't have the fucking Houston Outlaws playing in Los Angeles forever.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to just lose the fan base.
Right. And then all the things that come with that is like, we've already seen how much of an issue it is having everyone consistently even be able to get in the country one time. Yeah. Let alone multiple times when they're
and that's not including Americans going over there.
Right.
And getting
that
back.
Too. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of visas and work visas and travel shit, it's got to be astronomical, like cost-wise, and for teams and for whatever else. But yeah, I just think there's a lot of discord in there that we don't know that's going on with this, especially when she leaves. 13 years. I mean, that's going back to the origins of Blizzard Esports, really.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be that. I mean, that's like
you're talking like someone that's probably on WoW and StarCraft.
Yeah, a lot of WoW Arena.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
I mean, I don't know her whole history, but when you're making these people leave, there's something. There's something. Concerning. Yeah, it's very concerning. I don't think the league's in trouble at all. I think it's fairly healthy. I think they have to be careful.
Yes.
And it's some of the stuff that I see when I see, it's like where we work. We were bought out by a huge company, big smiley face company. Anyway, things have changed, and they don't know what our business is. We don't know what their business is, and there's like things that shouldn't happen in the type of business we're in. We're in the grocery business. But there are people that are not normally doing it. So what I'm saying is this dude he's had some sports experience. I'm not going to say that he hasn't, but Fox Sports is television, is broadcasting, is all that kind of thing. It's a different thing.
Completely different beast.
Yeah. And you're trying
and
to
I understand the whole thing with this league is trying to merge those two things, so I understand why they brought him in the first place and why they gave him so much power.
And I'm down with it too.
And I do think that there is definitely a way to make those two things coincide, but I think it's going to be, we're in for a bumpy road in as far as trying to merge those two things.
Yeah, they just, and the way they're going about it right now, I kind of like. They're being careful about it. All right, they're playing the big matches on Saturday and Sunday,
right?
Like the stage finals, and I think it's always on the ESPN app, which is fantastic. Because that way, it's still part of the ESPN network. You can, if you have streaming, any kind of streaming service or whatever, like I use Roku. I just go on the ESPN app and you look on there, and they have esports, and they have, I don't think some people don't realize that they have LOL on there too. I mean, it's not like Overwatch League is the only thing that's being broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's other things, but I think. I think being careful is what they're doing right now. They can't dive too far ahead of themselves.
Yeah,
with it
for sure.
Like you can't. I don't think this could be sustained consistently on a every Saturday, every Sunday basis for the entirety of the league right now.
Right.
Like we have with football or baseball. Like you can't, like a couple of spots here and there. It's kind of like what they did with the NBA in the 70s. They kind of threw it in, and then they kind of got you into it. And then once you started getting into it, you wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to do like they're doing. They can't just say, okay, so it was a success on 3 occasions. Let's have it on every fucking weekend. Like, all day long.
Right.
It's not there yet.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me about, like, TV people.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Like, that's yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
Because I don't want people to say they're jamming this down my throat. It's like what they do with, like, I always use poker as an example.
Oh, God.
Like the World Series of Poker, like when that was big, like in the 2000s there. Like, it was, okay, so we're watching this tournament. It was cool because, well, like, there was, like, fucking millions of dollars on the line. These dudes are playing cards. I'd sit in there and watch it for a minute. But then I was like, okay, fine. Now we're going to throw it in your face, and it's on all fucking day from Caesar's Palace at some fucking weird card room or like whatever casino.
Yeah, it was at a point where, like, if there was no, like, event that they paid a lot of money for, like, whether it's a
they were showing
major
dudes
sport, like, NBA, NFL, something like that, they were showing poker.
Yeah.
Like,
and I don't want the Overwatch League to do
ridiculous.
that. I don't want people to say they're jamming it down your throat.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that's just, and that's what, like, I keep saying, that's why TV people scare me.
Yeah, you don't want to cheapen the product.
Yeah, and losing more people that have been from the foundation of esports to some of these broadcast people, yes, they're going to help with some of the aesthetics and some of the polishing of the broadcasts. Some of the stuff they're just going to fuck up. I'm just going to, they don't know video games, they know sports.
Exactly.
But
yeah, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But I think that's really all for tonight.
Yeah. So
keep an eye out this week. We are going to be doing our
gonna hit some power rankings.
Stage 3 power rankings. Yeah,
starting
we're
power
back
rankings.
into that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely, guys, get ready. We're gonna start ranking them again. Obviously, it's more interesting between 2 and 17, or 3 and 17.
Because we know who the bottom 3 are, we know who the top 2 are.
What was I think Spider was calling them the traffic light, the bottom.
Yeah.
That suited.
It's so perfect.
Yeah, the mayhem, the justice, and the fucking outlaws.
Yep. God.
Well, you can interchange the outlaw. Well, the Valiant have 2 colors.
Yeah.
A little red trim, and they're the whole fucking. They're going to be better anyway. We'll get more into that later on in the week, guys. So we'll just wrap this one up. So if you guys are on, you guys are going to be watching this on YouTube, thanks a lot for joining us. Hit a like, hit a subscribe. All of our stuff is down below there. If you can see it, I'm pointing. You can't see my fingers. Definitely hit us up, and we'll be doing. Obviously, our week 1 of Stage 3 Backcap on next Sunday night. Definitely tune in for that. And then, hi, Sam. Happy birthday. It's midnight.
Ooh, happy birthday, Sam.
I got one coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll see what we're see. I'm not going to tell you what number that is. That's going to freak you guys out. Just talk to your parents about how old they are, and that's kind of where I'm at. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. And if you're on any kind of podcast thing, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, give us a rating, and talk to us on here. And oh man, you're almost hitting a big milestone there. Hi, Sam. Sorry, got to continue this.
Yeah, I just
Big
turned
2-9.
30, so I feel you, Sam.
Yeah, I'm well ahead of you boys. But you know, it's a number. I don't play the how old I. Believe me, if I acted the way my friends think I should act, I would be wearing some
Not
kind of.
doing this.
I would be wearing some kind of fucking stupid polo shirt, and well, actually, I would be in bed.
Yeah, right.
After going to church and brunching, because it's Sunday. Anyway,
God.
No, I tried to conquer Westeros today. That was my fucking goal.
There you go.
I joined, and I was an ass, and I joined the Lannisters. It's lucrative. I can pay for my troops.
Faux show.
I'm talking about Mount Blade Warband. Guys, I'm going to fucking go off on this for a second. It's an old game, and this plays a little bit in Overwatch, too, with the modding. Modding has kept this game alive since 2012, or 2011. Modding is going to keep Overwatch alive, too, but I'm playing the Clash of Kings mod, and right now I joined the Westerlands. Tywin pays, the Lannisters, they always pay their debts. So if I do something for them, I get fucking money. I don't have to go running around. I don't have to go run around doing stupid shit. I can just, work for them. Anyway, all right, guys. After that, we will talk to you later on this week with power rankings and other things. So we will see you later.
Catch you guys in the next one. Later.